Let's get to this just a sec. Okay, so we are going to do Proverbs 1. And we'll get started here. Let me pull that up. Okay, so Proverbs is one of the books of wisdom. And that's why we're going through it. There's 31 Proverbs. If you ever wonder what to read, you just look at what the date is, and you go to Proverbs that matches that date, and it's something good to read. I have never gone to Proverbs and not come away with something I go, wow, I needed that today. And I've read Proverbs dozens and dozens of times. I read it in different versions. You know, there's something like 120 some odd versions of the Bible, you know, that are out there, and you can get most of them on your phone. So one time I'll read it in the Message, next time I'll read it in, you know, King James, and the next time I'll read it in New American Standard and so forth. And it all says the same thing, but sometimes hearing it or reading it just a little different breaks through, and I go, oh, wait a minute, I've read that before, but it's hitting me in a different way right now. So anyway, if we go to the next slide, Proverbs 1 has 33 verses in it. We're going to look at it. As a review, a proverb is a short saying that states a general truth or a piece of advice. Okay, and the author for this is Solomon. Bible trivia question, his real name was Jedediah when he was born. Solomon was the name he took as a king. Okay, he was the son of King David and Bathsheba. He was the third and last king of the united old Israel when they were together as a country, which is interesting too, because there are people who you will say the Israelis came and stole the land. They were never there. Yeah, they've been there like forever, okay. Reigned for 40 years, which was a long reign in those days. A lot of times a king had last year and a half to 5 years. And he was about 900 years BC. Credited as the primary source for 3 of the 5 biblical books of wisdom. So there are 5 that are considered books of wisdom. And he was actively, or the author, he's credited as the author of 3 of them. But, you know, an author, when you read about it historically, he collected the Proverbs. So I don't know if you have any, but I actually have a place where if I get a really good fortune cookie, I'll throw it in my desk, okay? And I keep it. Okay, so that's not my saying, that's the fortune cookie saying. But if somebody found it and went through my desk, they say, hey, this must be one of Mark's sayings. He liked it. Okay, there's other things my grandmother, my grandfather taught me all that. And there are people who attack the Bible and say, well, we see that same kind of proverb elsewhere, not around Solomon. So he must have just copied it or somebody put it in. Okay, we share things, right? There's things that we've heard, and they may be French or German in origin. What Ben Franklin said, sometimes I hear what he said, and I go, hey, that's pretty cool. I even have things, I don't know if you guys have it, but I have a little thing that during sermons, if there's a great saying that speaks to my life, I put it down. So like in the last couple of weeks, I get, you'll never achieve your calling if you are still negotiating with your past. Okay, so if somebody found my phone, would they say, well, there's a proverb or a saying that Mark liked? Yeah, it is. What else I get in there? Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. Okay, so you have to have things like that and understand Solomon wasn't necessarily this genius with the wisdom. God gave him wisdom, but part of wisdom is being able to use what you're given. Just as a master craftsman doesn't have to make his welder, doesn't have to make his grinder, doesn't have to make the metal, but he's the one that puts it all together and makes the truck bed or the structure for a house or whatever else is there. Okay? And there are contributions in verse 30 and verse 31 by 2 other people, and they both claim to be taking words that Solomon forgot to put in his book, and they said, hey, dude, don't forget to add these. Okay? And that's That's Mark's version. The Bible doesn't say, hey, dude. Okay. Anyway, if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so I broke this down into kind of simple little sections. So Proverbs 1 through 4, and I'm reading out of the ESV version, which is the English Standard Version. It's kind of accepted as the most accurate translation from the original languages into English. Sometimes it's not the easiest to read. Sometimes I have to, if I see something here, I go, what? Sometimes I'll go to the Message or something like that and read it. And the Message is more paraphrased, but sometimes it opens that block that's in my brain. This is the beginning of knowledge. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction and wise dealing, and righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Okay, so the first part, about the first 9 verses, are written like in the tone of a father to a son. Okay, but it's applicable to everyone. But that's the way the literary structure is that he chose to use. So all of us need insight and wisdom. Next. Okay, and 1:5-7, let the wise hear and increase in learning, and one who understands obtain guidance, to understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So there's a lot in there, okay? There's a lot. Okay, so first of all, it says words to the wise so that you can handle riddles. You got any questions in your life? You got any things that you're going, what do I do? What do I need to do? Sometimes it's not so big. Sometimes it's am I going to have waffles or pancakes for breakfast? Okay? Other times it's, am I going to stay at this job or not? Is it my time to retire or not? Okay? Am I going to talk to this individual on the street or not? Okay? So when we say, I want God to speak to me, part of it, we're just on the very top side of it. A lot of it is in Proverbs. It's like an owner's manual, okay? And guys are notorious at this, and I'm painting with a broad brush. Not all guys are, okay? But I open the box from IKEA, and I try to put everything together until I can't, and then I open the instructions and try to read the instructions that obviously somebody from India or China wrote, okay, because they don't make sense to my Western mind, okay? But by the pictures, you try to figure it out. Okay, Proverbs tells us it's a how-to book. So when we say, what should I do about this? You can go to Proverbs and find it, okay? So, it says it is for the simple and it's for the wise, okay? So you can, somebody says, well, I read Proverbs once. Good, read it another 10 times. Okay, keep going, okay? Because when you're in an emergency situation or a stressful situation, you can't think, what should I do? Like when I practiced karate when I was young, you couldn't think, what hand is he throwing with? What am I supposed to do to block? You had to see it in your mind and instantly react to throw a block or a counter, okay? That's what we need to do spiritually too. We need to be so grounded that we can do that. Okay? And then it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So I've had people say, I don't want to worship a God that I have to fear. Okay, so what does that mean? Why is that word there then? Well, if you look at the true meaning of the original word, it means reverence and respect. Okay, yes, it means fear too, but it's reverence and respect. So we have to respect God. Doesn't the 10 Commandments say that? Okay. What's the first one? What's the second one? Okay, you know. So we have to do that. And then it says, fools despise wisdom and instruction. Okay, you ever tried to help a friend and told them something? Hey, dating that married woman who's bringing drugs into your house, that's probably not a good idea. What? Who are you to judge me? Okay, all right, fools despise that. Okay, next slide. Okay, verses 8 to 10. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching. Okay, well, we'll finish it and then I'll come back. For they are a graceful garland to your head and pendants for your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. Okay, so mothers and fathers, there's two different things. One is I remember going through my teenage years where I thought my dad and mom were the biggest dorks around, and how could they embarrass me by showing affection to me while I was out in public and one of my friends or somebody cool might see. Okay, by the time you reach 40 or 45, you go, thank God that my mom and dad were there and taking care of me and telling me right from wrong. And when I was a complete ass, they still welcomed me back and gave me a hug and loved me. Okay? And then it says, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. Oh, does that mean I have the right to say no? What's the first word most babies learn? Well, they learn mom and daddy because we say it 1,000,000 times to them, okay? But of their own, initiative, they learn no. Don't touch that, no. Give that back to your brother, no. Okay, we don't have any problem saying that all the time. Go to school, no. Don't drive too fast, no. Okay? Hey, you want to go do a blue? Oh, okay. Why don't we just say no? Do the same thing we did as a kid. No. Oh, come on, man. Everybody's going to stop after work. We're going to have a few pops. Okay? Yeah, but I've already had a DUI, man. I don't need that. Okay? Say no. It's okay to say no. People actually respect you more if you can take a stand and say no when you got to say no. It's one of the shortest words in our entire vocabulary, and for some reason it sticks in our throat. And we need to use it and use it regularly, okay? The other thing is we don't get forced. We do it on our own, right? Okay? I'll just stay on one thing here, and we'll talk about it. So you realize that it used to be that just people at your high school or wherever you were, that you had to get along with them and be cool, be one of the guys or one of the gals or whatever. Okay, now social media is there 24 hours a day. Oh, look, I have a new car, I have a new wife, I have a new, this, that, everything else. So look, here we are on vacation. We have friends that are very successful people, and there is not a post, and they post constantly, that they don't have a drink in their hand. Oh, so they're divorced and dating other people now and in the middle of a mean divorce, okay? Trying to sue each other and saying the other person didn't teach them right. Well, you think so? You were worshiping alcohol the whole time. We have another woman that survived cancer a couple of times, and she and her husband have the money to travel around the world. Everywhere they go, it's drinks. Here we are drinking Irish whiskey. Here we are drinking Kentucky bourbon. Here we are drinking French wine, everything else. And then she says, well, I'm going to die early, so I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, you're going to die early. You're sucking that booze down so fast, you're going to die early. Okay, your body was not made to filter that kind of toxin. Okay, I'm an industrial engineer type guy, and if you just break down what booze is and some of the drugs, man, it's poison. Okay, you would not, if you loved your dog, you would not give it to your dog. And yet we take it and say, it's okay. And what are the pictures? What do we see on TV? One of my favorites is you look at beer ads. In beer ads, everybody's healthy. The guys have six-packs. The girls all have trim, no cellulite, anything. Everybody's on the beach outside. Oh, their blonde hair's flowing in the wind. They're playing volleyball and frisbee and barbecuing up stuff. Okay, and then you change the channel and you get cops. And that's the real result, okay, of drugs and booze, right? Okay, and I'm picking on drugs and booze right now, but there's lots of sins, okay, lots of ways you can fall. Okay, but you turn to cops and there's the wife has just beat the husband with a frying pan and he's out there in a t-shirt bent over a cop car with his hands cuffed up and stuff, and she's there swearing at him, as the cops ask her to get away, and he's yelling at her. That's a real beer ad, not the one where everybody on the beach is is having a great time. So that is bombarded into our life all day. All day you see stuff like that, okay? And people smoking. If you noticed in any of the movies, now you watch Netflix or something, everybody smokes. I mean, the dogs are smoking, the cops are smoking, the criminals are smoking, everybody's smoking. Do you know that they get $100,000 for every scene where people are smoking? So it's not that they're doing it to try to make it look real. They're doing it because every scene they can do that is cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay? But our kids don't know that, do they? Oh, everybody smokes. All the friends I know, all the stars. Even people that you can tell don't smoke will fake it. They'll put it to their mouth and they don't really draw, right? You can tell they just put it to their lips. They still get the money, okay? So let's go to the next one. Okay, and then verses 11 through 14. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, okay, and that is heaven. There's some technicalities, or not heaven, excuse me, hell. There's some technicalities. The Jews use different words for what they thought were different compartments of hell, okay? Sheol, let us swallow them alive and whole, like those who go down into the pit. We shall find all precious goods. We shall fill out our houses with plunder. Throw in with your lot with us, and we will all have one purse. Okay? So guess what? Sin lies. Oh, you'll be better off if you do this. I'll help you out. I'll be there when you're in need. Anybody that's been in trouble, have you ever had your friends that got in trouble, all of a sudden they're gone? They go, man, I was going to come, but I'm on probation. I couldn't show up again. Or they jump out of your car and run away, and the cops show up and they go, you got any weapons in here? No, sir, I don't. And they open the back seat doors and there's a gun on the floor. And you say, that's not mine. Well, your friends have left. They don't care. They leave you to it. Okay, my middle son died of an overdose, and his friends that he was partying with left him while he was still alive because they didn't want to get in trouble by having him. He was on probation and he was in a rehab program, okay? And they left him, okay? That's what sin does, okay? You have to understand it and see it for the truth that it is, not what they paint it for, because Satan's not going to paint it as bad. And is sin fun sometimes? Okay. Okay, well, you're out. I'm going to think nobody's running for Pope here, so we can be honest, right? Okay. When you get drunk and you laugh and everything, and you wake up the next day, somebody says, hey, you want to go out sailing? You go, oh, man, my head is killing me. Okay. Or you're at work, so you think you're having great fun, but all of a sudden when somebody says, well, who caused that trouble? Oh, it was Bob. Bob did it. Bob was at the bar last night. Well, Bob maybe did it, maybe he didn't. But if you come in and you stink of booze, guess what? You're going to get blamed for it. And I went to work in my younger days when I was still drunk. Okay? I went right from partying and having breakfast with people right into work. Okay? That was wrong, what I did. Okay? And I did it because everybody said, sure, that's what you do. All the seniors and everything, I said, really, we're working out so hard for football, we're trying to get into shape, you sure we're supposed to drink all this stuff? Oh, yeah. Oh, we all do. Oh, right after the game, coming, man, hey, we show you this game, how you chug beer. Okay? Didn't take me long to say, this isn't me. Okay? But I was being influenced by others. Okay? And this one, everybody says, come on, we'll all be in this crime together. Just because everybody's doing it, is that right? Okay, my grandmother, one of her sayings, one of her proverbs was, wrong is still wrong even if everybody's doing it, and right is still right even if nobody else is doing it. Okay? And the word even says that. What is it, Mary Lou? Isaiah 5:20. Okay? And how did they put it there? Yeah. Yeah, something right along that line. Do you hear it? In Isaiah, he's saying, woe unto those that call evil good and good evil. Okay? And that's happening in today's world, isn't it? Okay, and I'm not making judgments. This church is wide open to anybody. If you need help and you're coming to look for God, man, we're here for you. Okay, no judgment zone, come on in. Okay, but people are coming and saying, you're wrong. I want to change your church because I want you to take my perverse lifestyle. Okay, and listen, I walk pretty wild days. Okay, I'm open-armed and willing to help almost anybody. Okay, but there are people who will say you're wrong and tell you that if you don't do certain things, you're a bigot, or you're a fascist, or you're this and that. And when you ask some of them, somebody called me a fascist, it was about a couple years ago, and I said, so tell me what a fascist is. Well, I don't know, but I know you're one of them. I go, really? Really, dude? Anyway, okay, next one. My son, do not walk in the ways of them. Hold back your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. Okay, that means like net. If you set out a net to catch a bird, that if the bird sees it, they'll avoid it. That's what he's saying there. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set an ambush for their own lives. Such are the ways of anyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessors. So I was talking with a guy the other day who's in great grief because his brother overdosed, and the people that he was with wanted some of the stuff he had. He was living a semi-criminal life, okay, and they wanted his drugs and his stuff. So while he was passed out is what they call it, okay, they set his apartment on fire, and the autopsy showed that he was alive and he died of smoke inhalation, and then his body burned. But all his friends said, oh yeah, no, he died of an overdose. No, he didn't. And those weren't his friends. Okay, the people that did that to him. That's what this is saying. You got to avoid those people. Okay. All right, next one. 20 to 23. Wisdom cries aloud on the street. In the market, she raises her voice. At the head of the noisy street, she called out. At the entrance of the city gate, she speaks. Oh, how long, oh, simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. So if you seek wisdom, what she's saying is if you seek wisdom, I'll give it to you. Okay. And where is she? Is she hiding? Do you have to go to 12 classes and do all the steps and everything? Okay. And I like 12 steps. I'm not saying that, but 12 steps, isn't it? God gives it to you. Okay. And she's standing at the busy street. So that means she's not hiding up some alleyway. She's standing on Central and Wyoming or whatever. Okay. Yelling at the top of her lungs saying, hey, stop your foolishness and do what's right. Okay, next one. Because I have called you and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. So a lot of times we say, God, why are you doing this to me? A lot of times we did it to ourselves. And he kept saying, hey, you sure you want to do that? Hey, people, things said, hey, stop. And we say, oh, no, I'm okay. I can handle it. And then when disaster hits, we go, oh, how could that have happened? It happened because we were told about it, okay? And people go, well, that's very narrow-minded. That's the reality of God, okay? And you can say, I don't believe in God and I don't believe in consequences. It's real. It's real. Next one, please. Okay, and then 27 through 30 says, when terror strikes you like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel, and despise all my reproof. So when you read this, you kind of go, wow, man, is God being really hard? I mean, where's the loving God that we have? Well, first of all, remember, these are Solomon's writings and things that he thought were important. Okay, this isn't God speaking, this isn't Jesus speaking. These are the parables of Solomon. Okay, but it's still true. Okay, it's just, remember, that's because even if we go back to that, okay, we all love God to be the merciful, loving, wonderful Father that he is, okay? But remember, he's also the righteous judge on the other hand too. And after giving us enough, like a zillion tries, if we spit in his face, we reap our own results. Okay, next one. Okay, therefore they shall eat the fruit of their ways and have the fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the competency of fools destroys them. Complacency, of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will at ease without dread of disaster. Okay? So there's the results. You live wrong, you're going to pay for it. You live right, you're going to benefit from it. Okay? Again, that's not God's promise. Those are the words of Solomon. Okay, but he was considered the most wise man of his time. And people like the Egyptians and stuff came from 1,200 to 1,500 miles away because they thought he was so smart. Okay, now, kind of a little caveat, I don't want to give away the story, all right? But you remember Solomon was given that wisdom. He abused that wisdom, and he died from his foolishness, and he died not being the man of God that God called him to be, okay? He had 700 wives and 300 concubines, okay? And then it lists however many, 20,000 she-donkeys and 100,000 ewes and all that and everything, okay? But I can tell you it's hard enough to please one wife. I can see why he went insane, okay? So I just want you guys to see there, okay, that's not God being mean. That's just wisdom, okay? And this wisdom has lasted, just so you know, Mary Lou and I were thinking about this and kind of counting it. We think there were 90 centuries between Solomon. And Solomon may have picked a lot of this up from wise people before that and wrapped it into what he put together in his collection. Okay, so when you consider that, okay, and usually you figure a century has at least 3 generations in it, sometimes more, sometimes 4 or 5, okay? I mean, this has lived through thousands of years, hundreds of centuries, basically 90, all right, 100, right, if you round up. And so the wisdom is real. So we just have to know it, and if we know it in advance is when somebody says, hey, this guy over here left some money in his car, let's go over and break out the window and get it. You need it for rent. He's just going to use it at the casino. Is it still wrong? It's wrong on lots of ways. Okay, lots of ways. And we have to understand that wisdom and God both say there's consequences for doing things wrong. Okay? So we're gonna take that. That's one. I can tell you, because I've read this so many times, my favorite is from about 5, Proverbs 5, to about 25, okay? And then 31 is phenomenal. If anybody's looking for the qualifications for the perfect wife, you go read 31. And women, just so you know, it's a high bar. Okay, it's high, okay. But anyway, so let's accept this for what it is. This is 1. We'll look at 2 next week, and then 3, and work our way through it, okay? But we take the word for what it is, and sometimes We have to talk about things that aren't real super fun and publicly friendly, okay? Because we're not trying to build a congregation, we're trying to build people that can function and change the world, okay? And yet we accept people where you are. You don't have to come in here perfect. We all stumbled into church somewhere damaged, okay? And Christ fixed us. He put our pieces together. But when you go out in the world, we want you to have the right armor, the right truth, the right software to be able to do this. So let's close in prayer. So Father God, we just thank you for another midweek service. We thank you that we could look at Proverbs, even sometimes when they say kind of hard things. You wouldn't have them in the scripture if they weren't important to us. So we thank you for what we said. We pray that each and every person heard something that they needed to hear today that they can take forward, whether they're taking it to high school or to work or to minister at other places and to the business world. We pray that your word would be alive in us and that you are alive in us. Thank you for choosing us to be in your family. We so appreciate that. In Jesus' sweet and holy name, amen.